Surrounded by. I am surrounded by.
I'm often surrounded by.
The entire system is surrounded by
Freaking idiots.
Surrounded by the idiots.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. No, that's sick though. Damn, you got that fat focus right. That big one.
You know, if I could do it right, I would have a Apollo.
Like the oh no. But honestly, I think this is just perfect. Like literally, it's just perfect. Cause like the Apollo would make shit like too complicated.
Yes.
Like that's for like really like making music. Like this shit's just like an all-purpose type of thing. You know what I mean? Like if you like you did it perfect.
Bro,
All
I
of this.
have 3 Focusrites, bro. I have this one, I have a medium-sized one, and I have a super small one.
Really?
Like I have like a one that just is
The solo
the
one.
USC power. That's the one I use when I do voiceovers.
Really?
Because that way I don't have to plug anything up.
Mm-hmm.
And do it. Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
No, that's perfect for that type of stuff. For everything that you do, so perfect.
Yeah, man. And then I have the what do I have out there? I have the Tascam, the Model 24. Over it's like a
and the other
because I needed like 20 something inputs with all the synthesizer. By the way, I never thanked you. I remember you came over. We were cooking up on the just on like the table, the table.
In the corner by like the window and shit.
Exactly. Yeah. And I remember you were like, bro, you got all these synthesizers, and you're not using none of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it's just a pain to set up. Blah blah blah. Bro, 2020 happened.
Yeah.
And I went synthesizer crazy.
Yeah.
I got like the Moog Matriarch out there now.
Yeah, no, I was peeping. I was like, damn, bro, like it grew.
I went crazy. I got the Poly D, the Behringer joint. That's kind of like the Moog.
Oh yeah.
And then I got mad stuff, and I plugged in my Juno. So thank you.
Juno's like, dude, what? And then that low key is like the wave now, bro. It's like the synth stuff. You know what I mean? Like everybody's like when producers get like their bag, they're like, oh, I'm gonna buy these synths. I'm gonna do that because everybody just knows it's better. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's authentically what you're trying to recreate in the.
Oh yeah, in the box. Yeah, 100%.
What's good, man? How you been, bro?
I'm great.
I
don't know.
No,
you know what I'm
listen,
saying?
I had to have Will Steller on the podcast because every time you look at his Instagram story, it's almost comical. You see like a beautiful setting or like a big ass crib, and then you just see a dark room, but it's a studio. And it's like, yo, he's always working, he's always on the road, and it's inspiring, bro. Like, so let people know, bring that mic a little closer. Let people know what you do. I mean, obviously producer, engineer, but go down some of the credits and
okay. My name's Will Steller. Do you want me to look at the camera?
I mean, you talk to me. Look at
okay. I don't even know it, like for the intro at least. But yeah, my name is Will Steller. I'm a music producer and audio engineer. I've worked with a bunch of different artists from the West Coast to the East Coast, international, all sorts of stuff. Money Sign Suede, 03 Greedo, Blue Bucks Clan, West Coast artists, Ian Dior, Dom Corleo, Young Pinch, Ty Dolla $ign, Roddy Ricch, Boston Richie, like a bunch of Mona Leo, like a bunch of different people. Yeah.
So when did you start making music? Where are you from? First of all?
I'm from Killington, Vermont. Well, I grew up in like Massachusetts, and then we moved, and then I moved again. But my consistent place my whole life that really like contributed to who I am as a person.
Yeah.
And I went there for high school, like all my high school, and I feel like those are definitely the years of
Formative
development.
years,
yeah. So Vermont is that's my home.
That's wild. And then when did you take the plunge and move out of Vermont?
When I was 17,
okay.
2 weeks after I graduated high school, because I was on the competitive snowboarding thing. I had sponsors, and I was just that was my whole life was snowboarding.
Wow.
Yeah, I got into like some national championships in high school. Nothing too crazy. Would be middle of the pack or just before, like the top 10 and different stuff. I was like 12th, 15th, like you know what I mean, stuff like that. So I had some sponsors, and it was all still pretty fresh. Nowadays, I feel like action sports is crazy now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was doing all that, and I really wanted to pursue that. So 17, I just moved out to Salt Lake City, went to the University of Utah. Pursued the snowboarding. Yeah.
So what did you do in that? Like what was your career like in that?
It was cool. I just did a lot of content in the beginning, and then like I would film for little video parts and do different stuff. It was very everything was very new at the time, so it didn't really take as much as it takes now. But back in the day, it was like everything was brand new. Everybody was whoa, like, you know what I mean? So if you were on it, you had a few thousand followers, you had some good sponsors and everything. Everything kind of just like fell together. It was
like way more of a niche thing.
Yeah, it was way more of a niche thing. And then I would go do a bunch of different events, like different amateur and pro events. So it was like Super Park was a big thing. Snowboarder Magazine would put on every year, and they just build massive features. It's like 120-foot jumps and it's like the big rail combos and stuff. And everybody's just kind of pooled together. Like they take all like the teams and different riders, competitive snowboarders, street snowboarders. They just mash you all together and they just like go crazy. Damn. And then the progression it was wild. And then everybody would film, document it, and then everything that would come from there would just be like, who had the best edits? Like, who was that crazy new kid? He was like the amateur kid trying to go pro, but he did some crazy trick and it was like next level and it would have only happened there. So it was like stuff like that. Like, it wasn't too much like on the X Games type of do tour vibe. It was more so on the back end over there.
That's great. So is that still in the era where you could post stuff like that on a Facebook page and it would actually reach everybody who liked it? You know what I mean? Like it was, remember like SoundCloud like gating? Yeah. Like equate to that. Like there was a time these things actually could work to help you grow.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And nowadays being a snowboarder on social media is definitely way more of a thing than it ever was. Right. And people have really like significant careers and go crazy on social media. You know what I mean? So it also has their influencer market now, which is crazy because when I came up and I would tell my teachers, oh, I want to be a professional snowboarder or something. They're looking at you crazy because back in the day, snowboarding used to be gnarly, like skateboarding. Like skateboarding was kind of like the punks and like, you know what I mean? Like the gnarly dudes.
Tony Hawk was Michael Jordan.
Like there was nobody. And then Shaun White was ours. So it was just like, and then coming up out of Vermont, the way that other areas of the country have their certain like niche sports and stuff, like a lot of times, like even like down south, they have like college football goes crazy. And so people like oh, if you want to do something bigger with your life, you need to get really good at this sport. You need to go to this school, you know, do that stuff. In Vermont, it was snowboarding. It was, you know what I mean? It was that or like good education and you know what I mean? And that because you're in the mountains, you know what I mean? So it's snowboarding, skiing, or you go to good school and
That's wild. You know, that's so foreign. Like that's so foreign to like meet like snowboard. I've snowboarded once in my life. It was we had a project week for like high school and we went to Milwaukee and I snowboarded.
Milwaukee is a crazy place to go snowboarding. Like just is like that's your destination to go snowboarding. It's crazy.
Yeah, carry on. Because in Chicago, I guess that was the closest.
Midwest goes crazy though. Like people go do gnarly like stuff. It's really, really actually a big center point in the industry. Really, but the fact that was like your go-to place is just awesome. Like, but carry on. My bad.
Wait, so is that a good thing or is that just so random?
Oh no, it's just a little bit random. Okay. But at the same time, there's a lot of really big professional snowboarders that I know that are like good friends of mine, and they are from the Midwest, and they breed a crazy type of snowboarder that's very versatile and like just handles all sorts of anything. Like you're riding half pipe, slope style, like doing street parts, like whatever it is. Yeah, but you would go there like in school and stuff is like crazy. You know what I mean?
Bro, we went there. I went down the little slope. First few times I was cool. I couldn't stop. Yeah. You know what I mean? I kept like getting locked back in. And then of course I had that one time where I just kept going, dance. Oh. And then that was just okay. I think I'm done with this.
It's just consistency. You just had to go back.
You got to go back after what, 15 years, 18 years? No, I think I'm fine. I think I'm going to let that one go.
Nah, it's so much fun. I get on everybody's heads about it. I'm like, please just go into a mountain.
How much have you been hurt?
Oh, so many times. So many times.
What's the worst injury?
I don't even know. It's just like a bunch of different stuff because they're all bad for different reasons. But like I've dislocated my hip, broken my wrist, a bunch of concussions. I have a really bad left shoulder because I had a grade 3 separation and then it had already been separated like a few times before. Oh shit. So basically that was when I like started making music was around the time that I was making a decision between surgery and whether I want to like keep going with that. And I started making money off selling beats in Salt Lake and I was paying my rent, so I was like, well, I could go get this surgery and do this, and I was in between sponsors, so I wasn't really sure where that was going either. So it's just like, is this a transitional time? I'm getting out of college. Like, what's the next step? And so, like, yeah, literally the injuries are like what inspired for the music. So
That's cool. So okay, so why music? Were you always were a fan of it? By the way, what do your parents do?
So my dad is a project manager for a telecommunications company. He's been doing that his whole life. He's really he's really probably like one of like the best dudes in that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's so good at what he does. And then my mom's a physical therapist and she was teaching skiing.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, so that explains the snowboarding.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then where did music come from?
Well, my family's always been into music. My mom grew up playing piano and then my grandmother, but it wasn't necessarily when it got to my family, you know, my generation, it wasn't so forced, or not forced, but it wasn't such a primary. It was in the beginning, but when I started to make my decisions when I was super young about just fully pursuing snowboarding, like I don't want to do guitar lessons or anything anymore. They didn't really care. Right. But when my mom was growing up, it was like, you play the piano, or my grandmother, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just stuff like that. And then my dad's just a super fan of classic rock music. Okay. Turn on the radio. What band is this? What song is this? Okay. What's the album? Year? Like what? I don't know. And he just knew everything.
Encyclopedia.
Yeah, and then he had envelopes on envelopes of like concert tickets. My dad's the best fan. If you could ever have a fan, and the ideal person to be a fan is literally my dad. So yeah, just fanned out about music, and then my mom just always had music. So.
That's dope. Okay, so it was already in your...
Yeah, it was in there, and I grew up playing a lot of guitar. I actually had a lot of cool opportunities to be mentored by an amazing guitarist when I was growing up. He goes by Joey Leone. He was toured with Eric Clapton and a bunch of a bunch of crazy bands and stuff. So he thought I was talented and wanted me to do that with him. And I knew I could have done both, but just at the time I was like, no, we're all about snowboarding. You're like, I'm snowboarding. So I had like a pretty good basis. It's just when you're in Vermont, there's nothing to tell you, oh, you can make music for a living, or how do you even get into it? Because nobody's doing that. They're playing instruments, and then they're like, that's a cool skill to have. You know what I mean?
And that's about it. It's a nice hobby.
Yeah, it's a nice hobby. So
and it's weird also because it's like you're saying you went from Vermont, Salt Lake City. So in Salt Lake City, was there like a budding like rap scene? That's all.
Kind of. My boy Toby, he was running the rap scene, and he was one of the first people I met because I had this song come out with. Do you remember Made in Tokyo?
Yeah.
Shout out Made in Tokyo, by the way, because he was with like my boy Suede and his career. He was always showed mad love, and like he's been showing love from the beginning of when I was making beats. But he had an artist that he was working with, Noah Woods, and Noah and I linked at some random concert that wasn't promoted well at all, and nobody showed up to it. So I went up and I networked, and I was like, oh, I make beats. And then Tokyo hopped on the beat with his artist, and then in Salt Lake City at the time, that was kind of like, whoa, you know what I mean? That's a big artist, you know? So because he had lots of big records at the time. So I linked up with this dude Toby, and I barely knew what I was doing, and he just like started teaching me a bunch of different stuff. And so I was like, wow.
What DAW did you start in?
I started in FL, still in FL.
FL for life.
Yeah, FL for life. I'm not gonna lie. I can use like a bunch of other stuff.
And you cut vocals in Pro Tools when you
always cut vocals.
So when did the engineering aspect come into play?
When low key, I was out here and nobody knew how to record, but everybody was also broke with the artists I was meeting because I didn't know anybody when I moved out here. I had to like start from scratch. I just sent it. I met some producers through that dude Noah Woods, but we linked up when I first got out here, and then as soon as I moved into my new spot, like I got my own spot from theirs. We just didn't really keep in touch like that for like a few years. So I was really like, okay, we're out here on our own. Like, let's figure it out. Crazy. And then I ended up getting linked up with a West Coast artist from my boy Vaughn, it was all stemmed from that kid Noah. Wow, that kid Noah, like literally I would just use him like, hey bro, like you've looked out for me so much. Is there anybody out here I should see? And then his peoples would help me. So it was just kind of like, it's like the network started helping the network, and now like we're all friends, and it's just cool. Yeah. But that's where the engineering started though, because this engineer, the dude Noah, so his engineer was like, oh, you have to go like link with my cousin. You gotta record with my cousin. Right. But I didn't really know how to record or do any of that stuff because I didn't use Pro Tools. I was barely knowing how to use FL. Right. And so I just would record that. His name is Key Riches. R.I.P. Key Riches. That's my brother. But yeah, he was like the first artist to lock in with me and really just work with me at all in LA. And so that's where the West Coast influence came from.
Okay, that makes
and
sense.
I just learned how to record with him. He was just so patient. And then I just got really quick at recording, had no idea how to mix vocals. Like I didn't know what the compression or anything did. And then I met my boy Dawson in Vegas while I was working with this more pop artist I was working with at the time. And he just told me, he said, man, if you really want to like make stuff happen, you got to be able to do all of this. And since you're already getting good at making the beats, if you did the same thing with the engineering, you don't need anybody. You can just walk in the room, you can sit down, we can make a record that's good. And so, yeah, basically it just had like a few engineers plug me in with people, and then it slowly evolved into if you want to be here doing this, you got to be able to do everything. So
yeah. I feel like the game changed into that though too.
Oh yeah,
like
100%.
in the process of there used to
Not really. I'm not gonna lie, I have so many producer friends that don't know how to engineer at all.
be really.
Yeah, and they can hook up the mic.
Is it work
and maybe get the mic going, and then
Really?
yeah, it's actually as crazy as it sounds in pop and other stuff like that. I feel like, but in hip hop.
Oh, in hip hop, yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
But because I feel like if you're only, hey, know your market, right? If you're only aiming for one market, that's one thing. But I feel like anybody who's like, oh, I make at least 2-3 different types of genres. Yeah, you know how to, even if you don't know how to plug up a bunch of stuff, even if you're a very bad engineer, you know
you
how
still
to
can
do
manage
it.
the record. And,
yeah. But
right.
I was saying, like, I feel like the game changed into that in a sense of like, we were talking about this earlier. Like, back in the day, you could just focus on, like, one thing. Like, I'm the rapper. I got delivery. That's the end of this. I don't have to worry about the marketing scheme. I don't have to make these dumb TikTok videos every day. I don't have to... I have a thing. Yeah. Whereas, like, now, you have to kind of do everything.
Of course.
Like, there's no... It's not compartmentalized.
Yeah.
Like it used to be.
I was talking to my boy Mikey about this the other day, because he's been making a bunch of crazy content. He's been going crazy with the content, and he just got fed up one day. And I feel like this is where most artists, it gets challenging. You just get to a point where you're either just fed up with trying to keep up with the TikToks and stuff, or you just say, screw it. I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna be content king. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the direction that my boy Mikey's going. He's like, I'm just gonna run this content because it's gotta work. You know what I mean? And he's down for it, and he's here for the grind. So I love that. But yeah, a lot of other artists though, they just like, they get annoyed. You know what I mean? Even the ones that go viral get annoyed. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh, like more. Y'all want to see more and more and more. Yeah. Because there's just so much content.
Because now it's like, let's be real. Do I really care about your song, or are you a personality?
Yes, 100%.
That's what people like. Come on, bro. Nobody cared at all about Blueface's music after that one song, but yet somehow the legend lives on. Like, because entertaining individual. Like, there's certain people who. Everybody's playing a different game, but now we're all forced to kind of play the same game.
Yeah. Oh my God. With the content.
Because with content, you have to be entertaining. Like, there's no way around it. Like, even, like, let's be real. LeBron James is entertaining. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, past basketball, he knows how to also do it in front of a camera. Yeah. Like, you can't just be... one-dimensional.
No, absolutely not. And that's just like a super good point, because I feel like a lot of the times what people are like, when they come out here and they get into the swing of things in LA, they maybe, if they're from a different place, like, because I'm from a place that's like a little bit farther back from everything. Here is everything's new. Everything starts here, or it starts in New York. And even though I was pretty close to New York, it really wouldn't adapt outwards, you know what I mean? Until it really, really was like a huge, big mainstream. Like all these Cybertrucks that we have here, like you go other places, it's still in, and they're like, whoa, there's a Cybertruck. I saw like 7 on my way here. You know what I mean? It's just like
they're everywhere.
Everywhere.
That's so wild.
So it's like, with like all these people that come out here and all the people that are trying to do the content and different stuff now, I think that's why a lot of the stuff is oversaturated, because here everything's new, and everybody's putting themselves in the center of it. So now there's like everything that's new is super niche, and then it becomes almost like one dimensional, like you were saying again,
Right.
because it's so niche, and it's because it's new, it's brand new, and everybody's like, oh, that's the new cool thing to do, and they all jump on it, that it just becomes that one thing. And then after that, it's like if you don't have that one thing, it's over. Like how if you had the delivery or like, you know, back to that type of stuff, it's just in like a different way, you know what I mean?
No, that's very true. Because there's certain overarching skills that like can almost like, for example, if you just made beats and didn't engineer, it's like, no, the engineering is an overarching skill. Like it will come back at multiple points.
Oh, 100%.
So if you have certain kinds of talents, those things come back. Like you said, if you're good at delivery, or if you have an amazing voice, or if you can play an instrument extremely well, those things will always come back when the personality can't get you over.
100%. Yeah. And so I feel like people miss the mark on that sometimes. You know what I mean? And it's just more or less like having to be authentic to yourself, because when you're saying that we all have to run the same game, or like we're all forced into that, you know what I mean? I feel like that is really why we don't get a whole lot of really progressive new stuff, is because everybody's focused on playing the same game that nobody wants to look left or right, because this is what works and we're stuck on this. So it's like one of those.
And it's sometimes it's just like our system of our government. Sometimes those things have to break in order for people to restructure them.
And that's really what I think at the deepest root of the music stuff right now is what's happening. You know what I mean? Because with the internet and everything and streaming platforms, it did what you literally just said. It just broke it. And then now it's down to just like pieces of it, you know what I mean? And like you got the stuff that works, you got the stuff that don't, but where's the next? Like, how do we rebuild this? Because it's been mad slow for the last year. Everybody, like in I guess in all aspects of the world, but just in music a lot has been super slow.
Entertainment as a whole.
And I just feel like it's because with the internet and streaming and all these different new ways of consuming, it just rapidly, you know what I mean?
It's
it just
same with
twisted
movies.
And crumbled.
People don't understand, like, since we work in it, we understand the work that goes into creating a lot of these things. But people who don't do that don't really understand. People who don't do that don't really understand that. Like, if all the music in the world is in your pocket for $15 a month, I don't really think you value Stevie Wonder's work on Songs in the Key of Life. You see my point? Like, unless you are a music fan, you won't understand that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Same with movies. It's like people spend months people edit for a month just to get dailies done and blah, blah, blah. They have actors coming. But, you know, if it's just on your Netflix or Amazon, I already pay for Prime. It's just here.
Okay.
It's like, damn.
But then that's that niche thing though, is like it was cool when it was just Netflix or just stuff like that, because you had like Netflix and Hulu, and then maybe like a third party, like you had like a HBO Max or something, and that was like really cool because it's like those came from like companies that had certain rights to certain things, and it was like tasteful, so it's like, oh, I can get these kind of movies that come from this company over here, like it made sense.
Brand identity.
Now you have NBC's got their own thing, like, because I had to get Peacock to watch the Olympics, you know what I mean? Like,
and that's how they get you. Everybody wants
they got their little niche thing.
$8.99, $12.99. We got that one show you like. Come on, AMC does that so much.
It's annoying now, and it's gonna ruin it. You know what I mean? It's gonna ruin it. So it's just like, and that's why I feel like music though is still like in a really good place with that, because there's not too many. It's like got SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music, and Tidal.
Facts.
If you're listening on anything else, honestly, it might be outdated. You know what I'm
saying?
Weird. Yeah, and it's kind of
it comes with your Amazon Prime membership.
Oh yeah, if you use like the Google, like whatever. Yeah, no.
Whatever.
Oh, Amazon Music too, right?
Yeah. It's not the best.
But I think that's where music really like thrives for that aspect in that industry, is they didn't lose themselves with having like a bunch, like Universal didn't go, oh, this is Universal streaming. If you want to stream art, like, dude, that would ruin it. That would ruin it.
Percentages of the streaming companies.
And then they're all intertwined. You know what I mean?
They're tech, like now all our labels are, not that they weren't already, but they're tech companies. Like they all own a percentage of Spotify and Apple Music and all, because that's how they have these catalogs. You know what I mean? Like it's
100%.
It's a very dangerous game.
Right?
Very dangerous game. That camera's running, right? Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. you know, when you smoke before you start making sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So who was the first big artist you worked with, and what was that experience like?
First big artist?
Whether it was engineering or
First big artist was Phoenix Flexin from Shoreline Mafia.
Oh, okay.
I was getting paid from Atlantic. It was
all proper.
Yeah, you know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah.
Like, and I was also a fan of Shoreline Mafia. I grew up listening to my cousin put me on to Dr. Dre way young, and so I low-key was a fan of West Coast music just growing up, but the new stuff I wasn't really hip to any of it, but I knew Shoreline Mafia from living in Salt Lake, and I was like, whoa, these guys are top tier West Coast, you know what I mean? Because you don't hear about anybody else really. I mean, unless it was like Draco or something, but I wasn't really on that like wave of things because I liked more like Future, Young Thug. Right. So
more down south.
Yeah, Phoenix Flexin, bro. Like Phoenix Flexin was definitely the first one. The label budget. He showed me mad love too. It was like we recorded once. It was the first time that it started, but like there's this ripple effect where if I record with somebody one time, we're recording again. Right. Like there's no doubt about it. Like they're calling me back for whatever the next session is. It's good to go. And I thank Key for that because of like learning how to be really quick first before mixing and all that. So like, yeah, Phoenix was the first one that just was like, oh yeah, like I want to work with you. You know what I mean? And I was like, sweet. And he showed mad love. We got along too because we both skated a lot and it was just a good vibe. But no, man, that was a crazy time. I made a beat with Chief Keef during that time. Wild, bro. He just came in one day and then Phoenix was like, yeah, he wants to make beats. Load your stuff up. And I'm like, yeah, here you go. Here's my VSTs. Like these are my drum kits. Like these are the hard ass 808s, you know? Stuff like that. So that's like fire. No, that was my first like really like that was like my first big artist that I worked with. I was like, whoa, like you know this is real. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So how did you even learn engineering? Were you like a YouTube Academy type?
No, not even. All my friends went to college. They all went to college for engineering.
Oh, okay. So you already had people to pull from.
And then they kind of mentored me, but it was really more so my boy Vaughn gave me his template, and then I learned it backwards. So I would have a whole song and I would listen to it and then I'd start taking off plugins and seeing
what they did,
why it changed, like which parts made like the biggest change and different stuff, and then why I did that. And then at that point it just became like twisting knobs. And then my boy Dawson really like elaborated on stuff for me and just brought me to a different level. And then from there it was just straight experience. Like other than them just giving me their gems and walking me through it, just straight experience and like the occasional YouTube tutorial. You know what I mean? You always watching them.
Of course, yeah.
But I try not to because I feel like everybody starts engineering the same or they make beats the same. I would pass this.
No, you're good. No, that makes sense. I mean, it's that hive mind thing, especially because you're gonna click the video that has the most views. But that means everybody's watching.
100%. And then there's just like there's so much false information on the internet.
Right.
And I know that because I grew up in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like we hardly had cell phone service, like barely had internet, like when you go to your friend's house and like so like I knew like they were still on the whole like, oh, the internet, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So I knew there was a lot of like bullshit on the internet. So I think that's why I never, even with making beats, I would go watch enough tutorials to get started. But after that, I didn't really like to watch it or remake beats or do any of that type of stuff because I felt like there's so much misinformation that I didn't really know, what to trust. And I'd rather learn it from somebody who's in the industry or somebody who really does this for a living, because that's the real knowledge. You know what I mean? The knowledge from experience. Instead of just, because that's also a different thing now. It's because everybody thinks they're experienced because they watch a bunch of YouTube videos on it. So I knew that I needed to learn from the right people. And so it may have taken longer, you know what I mean? But it was so much more worth it because I just feel like I learned more valuable stuff quicker and got to skip out on all the other like random stuff.
Yeah.
You know
or the things like I've fallen victim to that. Like there's certain things you'll spend time learning that you realize like I didn't really that wasn't really like or you learn something at the wrong time, which is also, you know what I mean? Like
100%.
you'll find there's certain things I remember when I started producing, like I was using Logic and it was like buses. Yeah. And I was like, buses? Why would you bus anything? I'm not doing that. I'm just putting 4 reverbs on, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And then later I realized, I would need to know how to do this. I wish I learned this before. But then sometimes I've learned things where I'm just like looking at it and I'm like, okay, I get kind of what that does, but I don't know why I need it.
Yeah.
And then I just waste a lot of time because I never end up using it.
Yeah, 100%. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. I've had hella moments like that. I'm just like, wait a second. But then all of a sudden later, you're like, wait, I think I did need to know that. But then you go back and you're like, I didn't even need to, and then you're like, oh, this is what that was. And you get a reminder and you're like, oh, I already knew this. And then you just like, I don't know, it's a refresher. But yeah, that's also a thing with like the internet, like learning stuff on the internet. Cause if I were to learn to like do all that stuff on the internet, they would just show me step by step. And I'd be like, that's cool. But like, I have no, like, you told me why I need to do this, but until you hear why you need to do it, it just, you know what I'm saying?
It doesn't connect.
But I was just thankful that I had like friends that were willing to just like give me that information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they paid for that information. They gave it to me.
Exactly.
I appreciate that.
If you weren't doing music with the way that you think and the way that you move, if you weren't doing music, what do you think you'd want to do?
I would have definitely still been on some sort of entrepreneurship grind.
Well, I know.
That's what 100%. I was probably be snowboarding a lot. All my friends that I really kept close a lot of times when it comes to like snowboarding and different stuff, they're all competing in X Games and like all the big contests and doing all that type of stuff now. So I would imagine that if there was no music, I would have just got the surgery, rehab, done all the things I need to do, and just gone for it. Right. And then probably learned how to develop like a brand out of it and done that whole kind of thing. You know what I mean? Right. I would probably have gone like that direction with that for sure. But the music was just more of like a fulfilling thing for like the whole. So I'm just happy because snowboarding fulfills me as a human because you're like on edge. You know what I mean? When you're flying through the air off of a huge jump, you're just like looking around. You're like, wow, like. You know what I mean? Like crazy. This is different, you know? And then like, so that feeling is more so a personal fulfillment. Whereas I make music, I make a song and a bunch of people listen to it and it just makes them super excited. Like, oh, it's my favorite song right now. You know what I mean? Right. Or my favorite song that this artist has done in a long time. You know what I mean? I get that a lot because I work with a lot of artists that have been like fairly popular for a while, but maybe never went fully mainstream. Yeah. So just different eras of an artist people respect, but if there's a long gap in between and like, oh, that's my favorite song I've heard them make in years. Yeah. I'm just like, oh, like that fulfills everybody else and that makes me like feel so good. You know what I mean? Because like I brought that feeling back. You know what I mean? They found their love for that artist again because on the music that I made for them. So it's just like, wow, like it fulfills me and then it makes other people. It's just it's like a win-win thing. So like yeah.
And it's got to be dope too, because like I've been fortunate to see it like. At times, like when you make something, even if it's just in your bedroom or like in your living room, and then you're seeing it enjoyed by thousands of people.
That's why the touring thing is crazy. You know what I mean? Like
what's that like being on tour? Like, so when you're touring, are you just touring to be engineer on tour, or are you also doing like?
So I help with the shows. Okay. So what got me into that was my boy Ruben, who I met back when I was living in Salt Lake. Okay. He was also a huge like staple in all this. It's how I met Pinch and like a bunch of other people. He's an amazing person. Word. Always has opportunities for me, and he had an opportunity for me, and I can't say no because he has the craziest opportunities. Like he's like the first person to like really give me like wild opportunities where I'm just like, whoa, that's dope, and you know what I mean? Like
this is gonna change things.
Yeah, this is gonna change things, or just like put some like good money in your pocket while like enjoying what you do. Like he's always so good at that because he's so knowledgeable about everything that he does. Right. That when he has opportunities, it always just feels like fun, and then you're also like making a good like living off of it, and it's just like a crazy experience all at the same time because he's one of the best front of house engineers in the touring game. Okay. Yeah, that dude is on a whole different level. He's cracked on the touring stuff and production. He's like gold and all that. Maybe almost platinum. Yeah, but like no, he's dope. He's an all around killer. But that's how I got on the touring. He just called me up with opportunity. He said, look, I know that your boy Suedehead went to jail, and he's like, I know that you're gonna be slow for a little while. If you're looking for something else to do and get some money, also make music, it'd be a good time. So I just was trying it out, and it was with Ian Dior. Okay. Yeah, and I didn't know him or anything, and so I just got thrown into this, and basically I had never done it before, but he was like, yo, he's valid, you know what I mean? Like, and they just kind of just gave me opportunity, and it was cool because it's all in Ableton. So I learned a bunch of Ableton in order to do this, because basically for high level shows, instead of having a DJ, you have a playback engineer. So it's all done out, everything, have all the song stems, everything out, and laid out in the order of the set for the most part, you know what I mean? And then basically like I was the person in charge of controlling his music. So like the DJ kind of, but on the side because they had a band. So it was, you know what I mean? It was cool. And then I also had the auto tune. And since I had engineered like auto, that's whatever. Yeah. Works, and then I just had to learn some like quick keys and different stuff on Ableton because I've been like fairly familiar just like with collaborating with people. My friend UV uses it all the time. But yeah, basically that was just like, that was my first like touring gig. And then it wasn't even supposed to be anything crazy. It was just supposed to be that one tour. I was feeling like, and it was just whatever. But it was the MGK tour. So it was his mainstream sellout tour, like his biggest like tour thing. Like he had the #1 rock album 2 times in a row or whatever. Gotcha. And like, so that was his worldwide like arena tour, and Ian was the main. So it was kind of like, I felt like a little bit over my head, but I made it work and it worked out, and it was crazy because we didn't have a backline tech. So I learned like all the crazy like touring stuff like on a major tour for my first time ever, and it just kind of was like, whoa. Like that's how it started, and then basically me and Ian just became boys. Like that's like my brother. Just we don't even have any music out or anything. We make music together, but it's just like because we both enjoy making music, and yeah, like that's just like my boy now, and like I appreciate him so much. Like that was my first time ever being out of the country in Europe and like all that type of stuff. But yeah, like the touring stuff was just like that. Like it just fell in. That's like,
amazing, dude.
So yeah.
But it also sounds like when you get thrown into the fire, you show up, and I think that's another thing like people identify.
Man, but like I end up in the fires. It's like you gotta show up. Like if you don't, I mean, I feel like sometimes I do it to myself because I'm just like I'm gonna prove something to myself right now. But like no, I just I don't know. I feel like if you want to do cool stuff, like there's never a right time. You know what I mean?
No, for real.
And like I don't know. It's not like it was crazy different. You know what I mean? Been doing music production, all this stuff. Like it's not even that like different, and there's not even that much you have to really do on it. So it's just like most of the time it's all done by the music director beforehand. So I'm just going in there and
and triggering.
Yeah,
I feel it. And that's funny. I just had my boy Lamar on. Well, it's the episode that's going to be before this one. And he does a lot of that stuff too, like front of house, backline stuff, all that. Amazing. He's doing the Future and Metro tour. Yeah, so
legend.
But it's just it's funny how all these things, like I'm recording the podcast in Ableton. But
it all goes back to this, bro. Yeah. This is the bare minimum of all of that, which is like insane to think about. But I'm doing like everything that you're doing here is just on a crazy bigger scale over there. So that's why at the end of the day, like it was easy for me to transition. And if you are thrown into a fire like that and you have a background already in engineering and music production, it like your skills, like you know how people say that you fall back to your training or whatever, your fundamentals. I guess since I already had those fundamentals, it was just like when it came time that I didn't know, I just fell back on what I already knew.
You know the programs. You know
So it's just one of those things. But yeah, shout out Ian, because that was insane. And then when we didn't have a band, he would force me up there on stage with him to like fake DJ and like gave me a mic. Dude, it was insane.
So you were out there, what's good?
First time was in China in front of 40,000 people, bro. I just show up and I'm already tripping that I'm in China. You know what I mean?
That's wild.
I was like, yo, we're
what part of China?
Guangzhou.
I've never been there. I've been to Shanghai. I've been to Hong Kong.
Where is it? It's Hong Kong. Yeah, Hong Kong.
It's in Hong Kong.
It's like inland of Hong Kong.
Okay.
So I hope. If not, it's super ignorant. I'm sorry, but like yeah.
You know what's gonna be worse? I was gonna say, how do you spell it?
G. It's like either GH or G. Yeah, GHUANG Z. Oh no.
Oh, Guangzhou.
Does it have the H in it?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
Good job. It is in city in China. What is it near? Let's see.
It should be near Hong Kong, right?
That's what I'm trying to see. It looks like I see what you mean.
It's inland.
Yeah, it's near Hong Kong. Yes. Look at that. You're right on.
Let's go. Yeah, I looked up so many times. Oh my God. But yeah, 40,000 people at this festival, and he just like, low-key, man, and it's because we ended up headlining. So that we were there right before the headline, because he's really big. Like globally,
bro, that's
he's
what I was
really
about to
big.
say.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, like
I didn't even realize because
I knew
I didn't
he was
really
big,
like.
But
yeah.
I thought it was like, I was like, he has a younger fan base.
He does
Okay.
for sure, and he does have his own like cult fan base, and is very worldwide. It's not just U.S. And I feel like low key he has so many more fans outside of the U.S. that like that's why he still does really well, and like he still makes. I mean, he just makes great music in the first place. So it's like it's just one of those things. But yeah, no, literally just like 40,000 people. We end up headlining, and he's like, I don't want to go out alone. I don't want to headline alone. And he's like, I need somebody to hype up the crowd, you know what I mean? Get it going. And I'm just like, there's no way. Like, and so I walk up on this big, like, LED stand thing and, like, set up all my stuff. And I just look out at this just sea of people. And, like, obviously, like, 40,000 is pretty regular for a festival, I guess. But just for your first time in front of a crowd, I'm like, and dude, this is the funniest story. This is like the tour joke story. Like, when I go on tour with Ian. And I'm like, what's good, China? And right when I said China, my voice cracked, bro. And I was like, what? I'm like a grown ass man, and my voice cracks, and it's just like in front of 40,000 people first time, but everybody went stupid crazy, and then he came out, and it was a lit show, and like,
that's awesome.
And yeah, it was a movie, and then for the rest of that tour, even went to Australia and stuff after that, just like all over, like we literally Portugal. Like crazy, and I was basically like DJ for him. Like he just, you know what I mean? I was like, whoa, like this is crazy, you know what I mean?
So what was your favorite city outside of the country?
So my whole dream was to end up in Italy at some point. We went to Milan. I didn't get to go to Rome. I know that Rome would be like insane.
I haven't been to Rome either.
But Milan was so beautiful, and it was kind of my dream come true. But the one that I didn't expect to like the most, to be honest with you, was like probably between Portugal and Australia. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, but Portugal was a movie. Like that place was so beautiful. I don't know. It just caught me off guard, and it was awesome. It felt like I was really far from home. You know what I mean? Because you go certain places over there, and there's certain stuff that will remind you, you know what I mean, of like home and different stuff. But when we were in Portugal, it just was like the first time I was like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? This is all brand new. You know what I mean? Because I would go to the Nordic countries. I've been to like Norway and all that. And Sweden, and so when you're up there, it low-key kind of feels like Vermont. You know what I mean? You got like the trees and you're in the mountains, and it's just like stuff like that. So, I feel like I was like, wow, I'm out of the country over here. So that was cool.
In Australia, what was that? Just more debauchery?
It was just, I never thought I was going to Australia, and there's like a crazy snowboarding scene there, which is it's wild for me to think that, but low key I was just like, I never thought I was gonna go to Australia. It was a movie. I was like, well, we're going to Australia, and then everybody's talking to you in the Australian accents, and it was just like, that was like another. I think that was the reason why for like both of those places I was like, ooh, I'm far away. You know what I mean? I'm far away. But Amsterdam, low key is like top 3 for sure. Amsterdam is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. So yeah, that shit.
They got some fun pockets too.
There's so much stuff to do out there.
I haven't been to Amsterdam, but it's on my list.
Please go to Amsterdam. You will not regret it. Please go to Amsterdam.
Everybody tells me they're like you.
And the people out there are just so welcoming too.
And weren't they like one of the happiest?
Yeah. One of my like childhood like friends, my homegirl, she lives out in Den Haag, which is like an hour and a half away, or an hour away, and it's just like and she just like loves it, you know what I'm saying? Or at least it looks like she loves it. She's like, because in like Den Haag they have this crazy mini ramp on the beach that you can skate, and it's just so beautiful. And like I just always see her on the beach and like stuff, and it's like you can go to Amsterdam and have those vibes, and then just travel like 45 minutes on a train and you're just at the beach, and it's like, you know what I mean?
That's true.
It got a lot to offer, you know what I mean? In the Netherlands in general. So it's just like Amsterdam is just like the icing on the cake of that. So I can see why they're happy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I guess it's like California. Like California is one of those places like you can get to any kind of scenery you kind of want within 100%. The state. Which is, I mean, it's a lot of state.
I go snowboarding and then I drive back down to a session.
There you go. How often do you snowboard now?
How often? Last year, I want to lie and say that I went so much last year. I went like 4 times last year, but the year before that it was like at least twice a week. Oh. And then I had taken like a 1.5-year break, or I guess like 2-season break, and then I was just like right back into it because I need it. It's like my like purest, happiest moments.
Yeah.
Is like I'm just up on the mountain. Nothing matters anymore, and
Right.
I get that from music when I make something like really really dope. But if I'm just like cooped up inside all day, it's like a little bit too much. So like I really feel it so much more now that I'm inside more. So like
No, that makes complete sense.
this year it'll be once a week,
I
for
feel
sure.
that.
Like I have to go at least once a week. Last year was just a very difficult year
Mhm.
overall, and I was traveling so much that it just wasn't
Align,
working.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's just what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, hustling, working. Yeah, that's
100%.
what golf has started to become. for me.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was so funny because I saw you golfing or whatever, and you had told me you needed to do the voiceovers, and I'm just like, those are some nice voiceovers. Getting your swing right,
Bro, I'm literally, yeah, I'm addicted, bro. Like
Damn.
it's just it's nice to, like you said, have something that's just like, oh, I'm just doing this. I can tune everything out.
Yeah.
Either throw in a podcast or an audio book and just go to the driving
Swing.
range.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good because I feel like everything up until I started doing that, everything I did like for work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I love making music, love acting, but it's all still like work.
Yeah. 100%.
Opposed to I'm not in the PGA. This is just
This is
for
just
me,
this is for that's what I was saying about the snowboarding thing.
Mhm.
Like it's very for me,
you, yeah.
and like that's so cool that you get that from golf, because I feel like that's also very very important to have, because I feel like you do that though, like when you do, like overall, just like with just like knowing you, it just when we first met and you were just so like into the music and into
Yeah.
the production and just got so good at it so quick.
Yeah.
And then like just with the podcast and everything, going crazy with the podcasting.
Thanks, bro.
And then you go and like you're getting into golf, and like I know you're about to go crazy at golf, you know what I mean? So it's just like I'm glad that that's like your self-fulfilling thing, because I like you're saying about the other stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just glad that that's your self, because I
Thanks,
feel like
bro.
you're gonna get like, just because it's when it's the self-fulfilling thing, you
You're
low-key
gonna
get
really
crazy
yeah.
good at it, you know what I mean? Like
and I care. It's the same way that I care to build this. The way I care.
Yeah,
to,
100%.
Like it's. I started same with that now, working out too. Like those two things, I've noticed too. They make everything else. They make golf. I've noticed makes me more like, hey, you're seeing as an adult. Like a lot of times we don't see from childhood. We don't see ourselves really develop.
yeah,
Because we're not aware or paying attention. Like you can go to practice every day. You don't really notice you're getting better when you're a 12-year-old.
yeah, hell yeah.
Whereas when you're 25, you can see the difference between a year.
Yeah, and
you
the
know?
consistency, yeah, 100%.
And I feel like that's like golf gave me that. It was like, oh no, like you're learning a new skill. How quickly can you get good at this, or at least consistent, or at least
consistent for sure.
and
yeah.
that gives me that. But
act like you are, like when you started doing the working out stuff and everything, like act like you weren't consistent with it. You know what I mean? You're gonna go crazy with it. Like that's what I'm saying, bro. Like like the consistency, like you're super aware of it now, but I just feel like it's because you're always been consistent.
Right.
And so like that, and that's like that, dude, that's like a whole other thing. And that's like that's what a lot of people don't have, is consistency.
facts.
You know what I mean? And that's why, and literally, like, I don't know, some people are built different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, you're just one of those people that has that in them. My boy UV is one of the most consistent people I've ever met. You know what I mean? He's more of a loop maker. He's really a producer. If he really got the opportunity to go crazy as a producer, he would produce some wild stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whether it was for a movie, whatever. But he's just locked in. He's got a studio in his house. He just cooks up every day, makes phenomenal music, like for like because he makes like the loops, the melodies and stuff, but they're more like compositions, you know what I mean? Because they're more musical than that.
And you got to sell people what they want, because people, they don't want full productions. They want to just do the drums.
This kid sends like out weekly though. Like he's got but it's like a year in advance now. So he probably doesn't have to work for like the rest of the year, and he's got 20 loops going out every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like and just into like the biggest producers. But it's just because he stayed consistent for so long that it's just like it's a movie now. It's easy. He's not even focused on this month. Like he's halfway into next year, like already. You know what I mean? He's like yeah, like I don't and then some of those stuff don't even make it by the end because all of a sudden when it comes to like, because he'll have the packs like pre-made out and then he'll listen to them before and then if he finds something he did recently that fits it better, he'll just slide a couple in. Just because he's got it, it's like an arsenal.
Yeah.
Like if he pulled up out of all of his his loops that he gets put out, they go platinum every time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like he has a vault of that
Preparation.
and then I'm over here like, why? Yeah, preparation for sure,
Bro.
insane preparation, and so that's why like I'm literally like we met at the same time when we first got out here, and I met him as the loop maker that wasn't that good. Like he was just an all right guy,
Right.
Best loops I heard the whole night, and then what happens? He comes straight from Israel off the plane and just walks into my studio session because the dude who was like he was in a collective with, well, we were working together. And we don't work anymore, and they don't work with UV. But man, like I was like, why is this not your like guy? You know, because they were sending stuff out and like trying to get people to work, but people just didn't see it. And I was like, nah, these are hands down the best loops I've ever heard. And then from like that point on, it just went from like I helped him get like his first paid placement and like different stuff like that.
Dope.
And then he just out of here. He caught that, Sleepy Hollow 2055.
Wait, yeah.
Yeah, he did the guitar on that. Yeah, lighters in the something in the sky like 2055. No, it was no, that's a different one. That's a different one. Yeah. But no, it's a guitar melody, right?
Okay.
And it's so perfect, and I don't even know. It's like 6 times platinum or something like that now. But he just went from that to like he went like gold on like a few other albums, and then just like he did the outro on Rich Baby Daddy. Yeah,
wow.
like he's like one of those people where it's like his production's so good they're just gonna throw it at the end of a hit because it deserves it. You know what I mean? Like it deserves. It's like, oh, like let's bless this hit with like this extra stuff and that's my boy. You know what I mean? It's like that's what he's
cool
on. Like,
shit.
dude, yeah. So like the consider like
and that's just one little loop from a pack that he's made.
What? And it's a smash. And it's just like if it wasn't necessary to make it a hit, they wouldn't have added it to the song.
Practice.
Yeah,
it's something to be said, bro. And I feel the same about you. Like it's what keeps you consistent.
I just like when I'm just like I'm obsessed. I guess I'm obsessed. I'm like a workaholic, dude.
Same.
I don't take breaks. It's super like sometimes it's like kind of unhealthy. I've been trying to skateboard. I've been skateboarding like 2-3 times a week now. So that gets me out of the house. But for like the last couple of years, it has been like crazy workaholic mode. Yeah. So I just kind of like sometimes I feel like I have to force myself to be consistent because I have really bad ADHD. So it's just like even though I'm like a lot older now and like I can control everything a lot more, like there's so many times that it's difficult. So if I have to, you know what I mean? It's like I have to, you know what I mean? Like in my brain, I'm programmed like I have to do this, you know what I mean? And then I just go and I'm able to like fixate on it, you know what I mean? And just be able to get all the stuff done. And I just love it. Like what? I just love it. It's such a movie. Like everything that music has provided in my life is definitely what's made it consistent. Cause I don't have crazy platinum plaques or anything. I think I'm about to have like, I think I'm going to have a gold record for recording this one song. The song We Not Humping, Mona Leo?
I've heard of it.
It went viral on TikTok with Flo Milli. It was like a remix. And so I recorded that just randomly. It was just a one-off session. Like I was telling you before when I was like, I'll just end up with certain artists, just one-offs. One-off session, and it's about to be like a gold single or whatever. And so like for like my other like music and stuff, like there's no like I don't have crazy plaques, but like the experiences and everything and the life, like I still make like a good living off of music because I do all aspects of the music rather than just trying to make sure I make the beats or like, you know what I mean? Because I know kids that are platinum and they still live at their parents' house. You know what I mean? But it's like if you want to really build a business out of this and just actually because you have to at some point, you know what I mean? If you really want to make money and have fun, like you got to do that. And so that's also...
You made a good point, not to cut you off, because it's the point you made earlier. And I was like, oh, we got to get that on the podcast where you were just like, those days of thinking you were just going to only make beats and be wealthy like that. 100%. No, that's not how it works.
Except for UV. UV's like the enigma. He literally
but also when you see the game he's playing, though, it's a different level of like targeted
well, he's got all these loops and he's saying them out over and over and over and over and over and over. So it's like the more, because that's his whole thing. The more you put out, like, don't be afraid to put your music out there. He said that on a podcast recently. Awesome. And basically it's just like he put it out there, and the more you put it out there and the more you have your stuff out there, just the more likely you are. And honestly, I feel like he should be on even more of a sick one. You know what I mean? Like his run should be even crazier, because he's like getting in like the country scene now, going crazy, and then he's like moving into the reggaeton. So like he's like an enigma, but it's also it's like at the end of the day, the amount of work that he puts in musically, it definitely like adds up. You know what I mean? It definitely adds up to the success, because people think they're putting in work, but he's putting in work. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what people talk about, and people don't notice that. Like, they'll be like, oh, I'm putting in work. Because sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm putting in work. I made 6 fire beats today. Somebody's like, yo, I just made this 25 pack today with my homie. Like, who wants it? And I'm like, man, like, I gotta go mix these songs, but like, you go get those 25, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it is like that.
And it's all how each of us splits up our time.
100%.
How we, and different games work for different people who work. But
absolutely.
Like you said, like, that's a thought process I always have. That's what keeps me going. The fact of, even if I have a crazy day, I'm like, okay, well, someone did more than me today.
100%.
And that's no matter who you are. That is true. So if you can always remember that, it's like, okay, and on top of that, I always look at things too, like, okay, how close am I to the life I have in my head? And if I'm not literally touching that shit, apparently I should go do more work. I got some work to do.
No, 100%. And lately, just like, I've just been having more time to just like be by myself and make more beats and do more like musical stuff. Because like before, it would just be between engineering and touring. I'm making beats in the studio. I'm like walking in, feeling the vibe. All right, cool. Let me find a loop. Am I gonna make a melody? Like, what's my vibe today? And then just go for it and just like make a beat. And like, that's really how I get most of my placements. So with what you're talking about, is just like, I'll be super overwhelmed because I won't have any beats like to play or send, or not even play, send out, like damn near play, but like send out, because every time I make a really good beat, it gets used. Like whatever artist I'm with, like I made that really fire beat and I made it for them because of the vibes and like I low key like those, and that's why low key those records always come out. You know what I mean? Like
how production used to be.
Yeah,
where
straight
it was
up.
like, hey, we're all in the room working on this, or I'm seeing what mood you're in. Like I'm not just coming to you with like, here's a whole bunch of preset stuff. You know, it works that way a lot, but I feel like the records that always end up winning are usually in the room.
And then that's why like most of the time, even if I don't have like, if I'm not sending artists crazy amount of beats like everybody else, my songs are coming out. Like there's so many talented people that I know that they're consistently super talented, always sending stuff, and they're always cutting them, but they never make the project.
Facts.
Why aren't they making the project? You know what I mean? So I feel like my consistency over time became, instead of just like focused on like my consistency of having beats and making a bunch of different kinds of beats all the time, is more of like consistently cooking up on spot and doing things effectively and productively. You know what I mean? While I'm in just the overall. So instead of me coming in there with like a bunch of melodies already made or like a bunch of different stuff, I come in with all the resources necessary at any given point to just pull it up and make a good record. You know what I mean?
And you're quick, effective.
Yeah, quick, effective. Don't do too much. Like I kind of get like the vibe, like, and you kind of know the time frame of when somebody will start losing their interest. And then if you hold out past that, you're like, okay, cool, this is really good. And like, and then if I'll be with other producers who usually just cook at home, but we're the artists, there's like a lag, you know what I mean? Or they're taking a little bit too long, or they're overthinking the sound, and like everyone's like, oh, but that sound's not cool enough. I'm like, it might not be cool enough to you, but the artist is already liking this sound.
It's momentum.
Like, and it's just like, and that's what, there's like another like friend that I've recently like made, his name is Bristow. He is the master of that. He is mastered like the art of like, of being able to capture that vibe, right? Like in the studio, cook up, while also like making new innovative sounds at the same time. Like he's going crazy. He's like one of the new guys that's like absolutely going stupid. And like if he doesn't get to like some insane like status of like a Metro Boomin or something like that, like I would be extremely surprised. But like no, like there's something to be like said for that whole thing. but at the same time, he has more time to work at home and like make sure that that's cool. But he's one of the first like beat makers that really can walk in a room that I've seen and just and have a bunch in the vault ready to go that people are hyped on, and then we'll just make a beat for you right there.
And it's still as effective and
oh
like
yeah, hell yeah, exactly. It sounded like he made it at home, but he just did it right there in front of you,
Yeah.
and like that's why he's going stupid crazy. You know
think
what I mean?
a lot of that too is I noticed like just straight up organization.
Yeah.
Like, and I know a lot of guys, they either have too many sounds that aren't organized, or they don't know where to go to pull from what they want. They don't know where to pull from for the idea they have in their head. Yeah. And that's I've seen that in session. And that's a huge, like you say, it's like that gap of momentum, or
that's where I think about, like, that's another thing where I guess this is more like, that's like sauce. Like that, like that's sauce. Like, hold on, take a second. Like that's sauce. I'm not gonna lie. Because I was just thinking, like, if I make a decision whether I'm going to use like a loop or make a melody, it's whether I already have a melody in my head playing and ready to go, and my thoughts are organized and the sounds for that idea are organized on my computer. Because it might have not been like a vibe I've really been on lately, but I'm hearing it, and like, you know what I mean? So where your boy, he was like looking for the sounds, he probably had a crazy idea. It's just at those moments, that's why I like to collaborate, and I have like a close circle of people that I collaborate with. Right. So that's why I'll like keep the loops on deck and different stuff, or I'll bring like a friend with me that I know is like a really good, like I can co-produce well with them.
This is your strength.
And and we each have our strengths, and so like if I'm just used to being with the artist and then I can go curate all the vocals and stuff, then I'll bring you in and you're my boy, and we're just gonna cook up like some stuff, but I'll keep it kind of more on pace with how the artist will like it, and then I'll have the strong suits of like the homies, but the magic of the moment. You know what I mean?
No, 100%.
And so that's why I just only work with like select few people, but like that being like, yeah, dude, like having everything organized and doing all that, it comes with, dude, oh my god.
And it's like I said, it's the difference between, you know, there's sound designers, there's producers, there's instrumentalists, right, and then, you know, and then there's producers who manage the room, like they manage the, like I remember I was interning for David Guetta one time. Yeah, wow. So basically my homie, he was managing a studio, and he was like, hey, I know you're making dance music, David Guetta's gonna be there, would you want to intern? And I was like, yes, I'll intern. I want to learn something, you know.
Absolutely.
And it was him and this guy Frederick Ristier. They had made Memories, all that kind of stuff, like he's on all those records. And it was amazing because I just watched how they worked, and it was like the vocalist would come in, David Guetta's like, yeah, I'm looking for something like this, da 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 da, blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, what if we change this? And Fred's just in the back with headphones on, working on something else.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the night, Fred would come up, bring all his ideas. They would just be fire 8-bar loops.
Yeah.
Fire 8-bar loops. And then David would go in and then do like but it was just to see the duality of like, okay, yeah, like this guy's not gonna go talk and do the whole, but that's David's job, and that, you know what I mean. And it's a different type of producing.
Always teamwork. Like I don't know, like I feel like half of this I've been talking about me, and then the other half I'm really talking about a lot of my friends. But that's just because all my friends are really talented, and they all have like such good strong suits, and they're just like, and I know that stuff is not possible without, you know, like a team. Yeah. And so even though it might not be a traditional team, or it might not be a collective, or it might not be consistent all the time, it's consistent to the point of where, like, without a doubt, I know that at the end of the day, when it comes to like falling on the fundamentals, like I have my like people, you know what I mean, that I know I can go to, that I can trust, that I know are gonna like do a great job or like have my back and stuff. And so like I guess that's why I'm always like excited about my friends too, because they're just always accomplishing such cool things too. And I feel like a part of that because we all work together. Yeah. You know what I mean, some of my homies just did it, like haven't got like their first pay placement was with me because I had an opportunity, but then now they might be getting bigger placements than me. But the fact that we're still all working together, and then we'll have other songs coming out, it's just like, it doesn't matter because we're literally just all like orchestrating ourselves together. You know what I mean? Right. And that's like causing people to win and have their time, and like, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, it evolves. So like all my homies wins feel like my wins because we're all working together towards like the same thing. You know what I mean?
And I always make the point, I'm like, look, bro, I'm I'm always down to help or, help uplift my friends. But, we all supposed to be able to buy our own first class tickets.
Facts.
I'm not supposed to be flying out 15 motherfuckers. I'm supposed to have 15 motherfuckers who can all pull up and do it just like me. That's the goal.
100%.
Yeah.
You literally sound like Greedo. Like, you literally sound like Greedo, straight up. Yeah. Greedo's all about that. He's like, bro, like, everybody around me, like, when we go to the club, like, I know, like, maybe not right now, but he's like, when we go to the club, or we go do this, or we need to go get a boat, like, when we're in Miami, then, like, everybody's just like, yeah, it's good, get the boat, blah, blah, blah. Like, here you go, like, thank you, you know what I mean? Like, and everybody's got their own, they're all thriving, you know what I mean? Like, he's super big on that.
And that's what it's supposed to be. Whoever makes it first is supposed to, first off, if you make it first, you should also have people around you who are working hard, but at the same time, you're just supposed to you're supposed to kickstart the ecosystem. Yeah. That's all it really is supposed to be. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be more of like, you shouldn't be giving your friends money. It should be a loan for the business that they've been talking about trying to do for the last 4 years. They just...
And because you have the resources and they've shown like their loyalty, then it's like, all right, cool. Here you go.
And I get a percentage off of what you make, and that keeps the blah blah blah.
On God, and then we can keep this afloat. And then when time is right and everything's cool, then it's like, yeah, like this is yours, like that, like run with it. You know what I mean? Like, thank you for like making me some money. Thank you for doing yourself a favor. Thanks for staying loyal. Like, you know what I mean? It's just
and then
all
our kids can go to the same private school.
Right.
You feel me? Like,
people lose that vision, dude. People lose that vision, and like I noticed that in LA, because LA gets weird with like the egos and stuff like that. Yeah. As much as like I have so much fun and I'm just like feel so blessed that I have such good people around me, I've been in some weird situations. Like people just want to throw you in the mix sometimes out here, or like people just want to just leech off you. Like I got kids just always in my like DMs just like, oh bro, like link with me when in LA, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then like, cause I'm open to linking with people, but then they come to LA and they're like, cool, yeah, what studio should we go to? And it's like, well, like we go to my boy's studio. Okay, perfect. So it's like, all right, cool. So like, you're gonna come see me. We're gonna go to my boy's studio. So like, I got the studio for us. Everything should be good. No. What do they want? Is there an artist that can pull up on us? Because everybody knows I got the personal relationship. Right. So they're like, oh, can this artist pull up on us? Oh, well like, does this producer want to pull up too? Oh my God, like, and it's like, bro, that's really my boy. Like, it's not even like that. Because those
orchestrate a whole play
you
for
yourself. You think you're trying to orchestrate this? Like, you think you can orchestrate this? But it's like, okay, that artist that you're asking to bring, that's my brother. Like Pinch. Like in the beginning, like when I was working with Pinch, like everybody, like, oh yeah, like how come it's like, bro, like that's really like that's really bro, like it's weird for you to even ask that, because it's more or less like it's like an understanding of like a time and a place, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And all my friends or all the close producers that I work with, I happily will like play the music we make for the artists, and I'll gladly have them come like meet them and stuff, because like I know that's like a big deal for a lot of producers, you know what I mean? For me nowadays, it's super normal because I have a lot of personal artist relationships. So people who don't have those, it's kind of like they're like, ooh, this is new. But it's like everybody's people. So I just have to pick the right people, because sometimes people don't know how to hold themselves and they get in the room. And then there's also people that is just like, they're there for like one thing and one thing only, and they just see this as like a whole play. And when you care about people, you're not gonna put them in a position like that. And then if somebody low key, like there's only been like one time that like something like that's happened, but like where somebody slips through and like it kind of gets weird when you're in the session and you're just like sitting there and you're like, now I gotta even be more strict. Like, you know what I mean? Like I gave you the benefit of the doubt. Like,
and you'd be sitting there because you just like, I don't want to be that.
And plus, like, I wasn't friends with like Greedo before, like he had hopped on some beats and stuff, but we didn't know each other or anything. Like, I went on tour, we recorded, we had a good time, and then like now that's my boy. Right. So it's just like it's not like I grew up with any like of my friends I have out here. Like, we all started working, together, and it was for a mutual benefiting like working situation, and then it's just more or less like, oh, like we're like similar, like we like to do the same things. Like me and Pinch, we'll go snowboarding. Like if I need to go snowboarding and I don't like, and he's available, like I'm going somewhere with him. It's like damn near the first person I call if I'm going up. Sometimes I need like some solo laps, but really 90% of the time, oh hey. And the same thing with him. He's called, hey, I'm going snowboarding, or like just like skating, or just whatever. Like, so yeah, shout out Pinch, because like literally there's like actual like brother shit, like he like for like till the end, which you don't get a lot in this music, like I was talking about, like when people are weird, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of the people that I work with, they may not be like super big or super relevant to the culture currently, but like they have hits, they have so much potential still, and then they are just so gifted in general as a human being that it's like why would I not want to like work with them or have them just like have them as my friend, like
Right.
what, like that's my boy, like he's so talented, like what are you talking about, like. And so that's where people get like different stuff like misconstrued out here. Like when it comes to like all that weird stuff, they're like, they want to be in the room with like the cool people. But then it's like, if somebody's like not on fire or something, they're just gonna
Right.
leave your ass and go do some shit where like, I don't have that complex. Like I have loyalty. Like you showed love to me, like before anything, like you're getting that same love back, because I didn't really have a solid group of friends growing up. So when I have like, when people show me loyalty, it's like very, very important to me. You know what I mean? And that's why it's important for me to be loyal to them too. So like I don't care.
Consistency.
I don't care who you. Yeah, consistency. I don't care. I don't care whether you're hot or not right now. If you're my boy and we've been working together for a minute and we have developed like a cool like friendship too, bro, it's up. Like you know what I mean? Like it's locked in. Like same with Greedo now and like just a lot of people. Like it's like that's the only way to rock. You know what I mean? And it feels so much better. Like being on tour with Ian doesn't even feel like a job because that's my boy. Like we liked all the same things, skateboarding, snowboarding. Like we just like had like the same, like we think about things the same way. So it's just like it makes it easier. You go on tour, it doesn't even feel like a job, bro.
Yeah.
It's like just like a beautiful adventure. You know what I mean? And like it's just it's one
And
of
you
those
feel
things.
like you're getting to travel with your friends, opposed to being like, oh, I'm traveling for work.
Right. That's why I don't tour. Like I only went on tour with him. Like I didn't tour with anybody else. Well, I toured with this girl, Natalie Jane, but it was a tight knit crew and she was mad chill and she's like a sweetheart. So it was just super fun. But other than that, like, yeah, like literally like I went on tour with Greedo, but it was on some like cool, you know what I
chilling,
mean? Like,
yeah.
yeah, we're chilling. So like I don't think I would ever do a tour that's like a working tour. You know what I mean?
Man, because you can only imagine how that goes.
Man, no, I've seen it because when I was on the MGK tour or whatever, like, cause Kels and all them, they're like mad cool and they're cool with like the crew and stuff. But like, would your crew or you're with the artist? You know what I'm saying?
It's
Like,
very different, bro. I remember back. I'm dating myself, but back even when I used to go on like those Scream tours and shit like that, all that kind of like.
Yeah.
And it was like I'd be like, yo, this is so much fun, because I wasn't even working. I was just running around. But then I would see when things would go wrong, how the crew, like, especially, and mind you, it's like everybody's cool until some shit is wrong.
Right.
And then you see the energy that brings, and I'm like, oh, and you got to do 20 more cities with these motherfuckers?
Yeah, oh my God. That's why you have to keep that dynamic.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's super important about keeping that dynamic between crew and artist because people will get too relaxed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially if it's like not the right person. Like for me, it honestly makes me more on point. Like the more personal my relationship is, that's why with like the artists that I work with, I think that they're loyal to me because they know that I'm gonna work harder. Like the more like we work together, like I'm gonna keep like working that hard. There's not gonna be like a lag. I'm not gonna get too comfortable. I'm always constantly learning. So it's just more of like that's what like keeps me going, where other people makes them comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's it, and that's not a vibe.
And that's probably, like you said, because it's less caring about the individual, and it's just like, well, it's like anything.
Oh,
right?
I'm cool with him. He won't mind if I fuck up. Like
Yeah,
what? Hell no.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, I'm even more on edge. I'm like, dude, I might be making my boy look bad right now. Like we need to figure this out. You know what I mean? If there's ever a problem, you know.
Yeah,
so,
and
like,
I don't want him to think I'm this kind of person who doesn't
no,
care.
absolutely
You
not.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. No, I feel. Well, listen, man. What is it you want to do next? What's next on the docket for Mr. Will Steller?
bigger music. Just bigger music. I've just been focused on trying to just experiment a bunch and figure out how to take certain sounds and be able to make them more of like a mainstream level with a lot of the underground stuff I'm working with.
Elevate it.
I'm trying to just change my production style and my diversity up and lock in with more like international and just something bigger, because my ultimate goal in music is to have like a bunch of songs that when you play it, like anybody in the world hears it and it brings them that like peace of mind for that like 2.5 minutes, you know what I mean? That 3 minutes, just like like you're having a bad day and like you go in the car and there's just that one song you put on and like there's like and then you have like 6 of those songs, like you're literally helping people get through their like day, because I think that's super underrated. And I see it a lot on tour when I see the fans and like people who like really care about the artist's music. And so that stuff like really is like the reason like I want to do this, because I see how those like kids like really like people really feel some type of way. So like that's like I want to just leave the world with that, you know what I mean, to just be like, yo, like I was able to give you guys like a peace of mind, like, you know what I mean, like
you want some timeless songs.
It's some timeless, like, because I feel like there hasn't been too much timeless music lately.
There hasn't.
Like there is, it just gets, you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, it's not what's pushed.
Yeah, it's not what's pushed,
but there's definitely people making it.
Oh yeah, for sure. So basically I would just really like to do it, and I'd like to make timeless music with like my friends that I started with.
Dope.
You know, like that's like the biggest thing. Like if I can do it with the people that I started with, I want to go diamond with Pinch. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to go diamond with Pinch. I want to go diamond with Greedo. Like, I want to do that type of stuff. Like, you know, my boy Dom Corleo. Shout out Dom Corleo, because I haven't talked about it at all, but he's a huge help recently of just like getting me in the mix of like the industry more or less of where like everybody's paying attention to, because I was all on the West Coast. So like,
I see what you're saying.
yeah, he's a phenomenal artist. He's definitely going to be one of the biggest artists in the next like 5 years for sure. Absolutely. But no, just like I want to just make some timeless music with my friends and just have it like give people peace of mind all across the world. You know what I mean? That's just be insane.
It's fire, man.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully people enjoy your music like your dad enjoys.
What?
The things he enjoys.
Man,
yeah, that's what I'm
saying.
saying.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I've seen that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a huge part of it. So yeah, 100%.
But listen, bro, thanks for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, bro.
Bless.
We out. Peace.